Let me start by reading out one of your latest tweets in which you said, quote, "We, the Nigerian people, will shock the establishment and powers that be. There'll eventually be that one day when the arrogance of the Leviathan will be met with the verdict of the public. The problem here is the definition of the opposition. We oppose the system. Do you?" End of quote. Tell us more about what you meant by all that.
Well, what we see is that every government, including this one, every government that is there, there's always this fear of incumbency. People always say, oh, it cannot be done. Of course, until 2015, when the APC came and it was done. And then I'm surprised that people now have forgotten and they keep saying, oh, it cannot be done. So that's one part of it. And the other part is that why it may look difficult is that there is a crop of politicians who find themselves in opposition by accident. When they set out in politics, they are part of the establishment. But the establishment is getting tinier and tinier because of the greed of the establishment. They are not baking a larger cake for the country. They are only fighting at the table, and the pieces of cake that they get are getting smaller in sizes, and their greed is increasing, so some don't even get anything at all. So once those people have now been excluded from the stolen buffet, they now come and become opposition. Then when people see them, then they say, okay, what do you have? Because the paradigm that they see them using is paradigm of the establishment. But what is clear as day in Nigeria is that any opposition that is genuine enough and people see credibility in that opposition will defeat the incumbent any day. In 2015, the marauders of Nigerian politics, they realized that nobody would listen to them. So they went and fetched Buhari, who had captured the imagination of the poor masses of the last swath of northern Nigeria. And they now added yeast to that and bake a very large cake, talking about change and all of that. So people bought into that. Now, in 2027, the pathway for opposition is to first define what is opposition. The fact that you're falling off the wagon or you have been disfavored by the establishment
doesn't make you opposition.
Doesn't make you opposition.
Right.
It may make you unemployed, but it doesn't make you opposition. Now, if you are coming to opposition, it doesn't also disqualify you from being an opposition. But if you are coming to the opposition, you have to now enter the opposition paradigm, realize that if your aim in politics is exactly similar or identical to the yearning and suffering of the masses, then you are in opposition. The critical contradiction in opposition politics in Nigeria is that we are now having many people whose opposition consists in changing only the incumbent without changing the system. They want to change the party in power without changing politics. Whereas the party in power is not the cause of the problem of Nigeria. The party in power is a product of the problem because it is only bad politics, pop and plain. Only bad politics can produce a president, Bola Tinubu, for Nigerians. He's a product of bad politics.
What are the spoilers that you see in those moves towards the opposition coming together in that way? And do you see the SDP considering being part of that coalition and that possible merger?
The problem before us is that the Nigerian people are alienated from their politics. And consequently, they are alienated from their governance. Now, coupled with that, there is a chronic arrogance. There's chronic arrogance on the part of the politicians. They always believe that the coalition is about them. But the coalition should be with the people of Nigeria. Where the SDP has queries for these politicians is that you're all gathering and sitting down in your living rooms and painting imaginations of empires for yourselves. You don't understand that even the APC, which claims to be an incumbent, only had dodgy votes around 8 point something million. So majority of the electorates did not come out in 2023. And they have less reason to come out now unless we redefine the politics for them.
Right.
What we need to tell the people of Nigeria, and they do easy, is let them see that this coalition is about them. So what I'm letting you know is that we need to let the people know. So that's the only thing SDP is telling them. We are not against coming together.
No, I understand that.
But we are saying it must be about the people.
So, do you agree with Adewole Adebayo here, the former presidential candidate for SDP, about his analysis of how and the possibility of beating the APC in 2027? Do you agree with him that it's only bad politics that can give rise to a President Bola Tinubu? He says that Tinubu is a product of bad politics. Remember, he came out from amongst us. And the politics in Nigeria for so long has been bad. So is his analysis actually accurate? To sum it up, that it takes bad politicking to produce a president like this, whom most people call a terrible president. Okay? So, what about the opposition? How do you define that sort of opposition that he believes can defeat what he called the Leviathan, the monster called APC? Now let's break it all down. But before we do that, please make sure you watch this to the end. And now, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. But also recommend this content to others as well. Now, let's break this whole thing down. We've been hearing talks of coalition, a merger, opposition. What exactly does that really mean? No, we know the opposition parties. We know a lot of governors are now bowing their knees to Tinubu and saying, you take the presidential vote, we will take the state and we will take the governors, but you take the presidential vote. You can hear the likes of Delta State governors saying they're, bowing to Tinubu, saying they're going to campaign for him for 2027. This is similar to what Wike did. All right. So with all of these old governments and governors bowing to Tinubu and saying, do whatever you want, but don't touch our governor's position and the state position, even when the election is not even there yet, is it that they don't really consider the fact that we matter in the equation? That we're supposed to be the electorate. We're supposed to be the ones who should be voting, not them deciding to say they will campaign for this guy and he would win so look at it this way. Election is not done yet, but they said they're going to campaign for him to win the presidential votes, and they will then win the state governor's position and the state legislators as well. When you've not contested for the election yet, these are the kind of willed kind of politicians that we have in Nigeria, their own survival. Not for the betterment of Nigeria, but for their own personal survival. So what makes up these coalition? Do you believe that a coalition can come together to defeat this APC government at the federal and the state level? Who should be heading that coalition? Who should be heading the merger? The PDP said they're not going to be part of any merger, or if anyone wants to be part of a merger, anyone can come to them. Labour Party is saying they're not going to do that. Peter Obi says not going to do that. Obviously, Shorora is not doing the same thing too as well. So now the vote is split across several parts. So who's going to head the opposition? But it's something he said that was a key fact. Is the fact that the pomposity of our politicians in removing us, the electorate, from the equation of governorship or governance is where I want to lead this conversation to next. The fact that we're not considered in the fact of what Nigeria should be or what Nigeria should look like is where I'm coming to. And that's why I'm campaigning to, with every one of you as well, to say, you got to speak up. You got to join in the leadership of our nation and the way the direction of our nation should go. Because for far too long, we've kept quiet. For far too long, we've been mute. And it is that quietness, is that muteness they've taken and they've used to run. That's why they can make such decisions that are ungodly, to tell themselves that they're going to split the vote a certain way. They make up this sort of arrangement and will not consider the factor at all. So we have to come out. We have to make sure that we start to tell each other now, before 2022, the reason why you must come out is because this insecurity will continue. The reason why you must come out is because this government corruption must continue, and we will continue if you don't. You have to come out, because if you don't, the alternative is bad. Imagine an alternative where you have to surrender your nation to the hands of bandits, your villages, your communities, because you have a government that doesn't have the willpower to actually deal with the issues that actually matters to you. It was Sim Tinubu that said that if he doesn't fix certain parts of the country or certain issues like security or power, you shouldn't vote for him come 2027. So it's already failed. So what are we talking about? It is not wrong to criticize government. It is not wrong to call out government. It's when you see government policies fail, you have a right to speak up and say, sorry, we don't want you next time. You got to go. Whether they're state level, whether they're federal level, or they're local government level, you have the right to tell them to stop. We don't want you, and you vote them out. But you have to come out. You have to come out. So, but I've asked this question, do you believe that these APC government, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, say they don't think that APC government will be defeated. It's going to be the same thing, that is going to rig heavily, which is expected. Hear this. These politicians come and build empires off of our back. Remember, Tinubu said it was his turn. How did that? They did a coalition, they did a merger. That empire which this guy talks about is this. They said Buhari will be the one to go first, and he will go next. And he will become president next, never considering the fact of whether or not the people wanted him. And even when the people did not want him, they still found a way to rig the election. Because of one reason alone, and one reason alone, a lot of people didn't come out to vote. A lot of people stayed indoors. The margin was different, was short. Out of a country of nearly 230 million, the total vote didn't go beyond 30 or 40 million, thereabout. That means a lot of people stayed back in. That is what I'm talking about. A lot of us need to come out. And we need to start this campaign early, and we'll start the campaign now. We need to make sure that other people are becoming part of it. Other people are becoming involved in it. Other people start to talk about it. Again, only bad politics can produce a president, Bola Tinubu. Only bad politics. And if we let it continue, that same politics will produce for us another Godswill Akpabio, another President Bola Tinubu, another Speaker of the House. Only bad politics will let them bring corrupt individuals to head different departments in the country, and they'll continue to ruin the country to the point where we can't stand up and we can't rise anymore. You have to get up. You have to participate. Because for far too long, we just stayed away and felt it doesn't concern us. But guess what? See where we are now. We can't breathe in our own country. We can't live in our own country. A lot of people are displaced in their own country. They're killed in their own villages in the middle of the night when they're sleeping. Only bad politics brings about things like this. So would you support SDP with the fact that you have an El-Rufai there? Or PDP, where you have, more or less people destroying it like Wike, knowing that PDP is already dying anyway? Who's going to be the face of that coalition if there's going to be one? Let's have this conversation in the comment section. But I just wanted to use what this man said as a way to more or less prop you all up, to say all hands on deck. I tell you one, I tell someone next to me, you tell the next person next to you, tell your friends and your family members, encourage them. That's what we need to start doing right now. Let's create this awareness. If we do that, it will be a ricochet effect where at some point they'll realize that we're getting mobilized. That's why I said to you, go get your PVC early. Do it quick enough before INEC starts to seize PVCs and tell us it's not available. Go get your PVC now. Be ready for 2027. Across board, this so-called monster of APC needs to go. It's not a political party. It's a destruction that has come to envelop Nigeria. I don't think that Bola Tinubu has done well. That's why I am campaigning to say he needs to go. I believe other parties can come, other individuals can come. So let's discuss in the comment section what you think about what he said and the breakdown so far. As always, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you've been following us, you need to subscribe as well. Be part of the change that we're creating. Nigeria deserves it. Nigeria wants it. It is time. God bless you, and I'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to recommend this channel to others too. Bye-bye for now.